everyone, we're your hosts, Chelsea
and Robin.
And this is Don't Mind If We Do.
Finally, a relatable podcast for women where we can talk about whatever we want.
Don't mind if we do.
I'm gonna wanna get crazy. Anything but behaving like you do. Make you. Oh, don't mind if we do.
Welcome back to Don't Mind If We Do, and we are here with the same two of us. We've got Robin and we've got me.
The same two of us are back again. I can't believe it.
Just in case you were expecting someone else, it's still us.
We got to get it together over here.
We do.
Okay.
And that's what this episode basically is
perfect.
about. But before we start, we have to have a drink to calm our nerves because I know how nervous you get, Robin, with talking on air. It's just not your thing. So we're going to sample. Listen to this. Let's see.
Oh, good one.
Was that good?
What is it today?
Yeah, today we are sampling Salt Spring Wild. And this flavor, I feel like it's new because I've been to their cidery place. I've been to Salt Spring.
The cider place.
Yes, and I've had their cider flights, and I don't feel like I've tried bitter orange rosemary.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. And this place is the cutest place. There's picnic tables outside. They've got all sorts of different snacky foods and all different kinds of cider. My favorite Salt Spring cider is the plum. It's my favorite, but they didn't have it. So I got this.
This is a bitter orange.
I'm going to fill my glass more than yours, as usual. Okay.
As usual, I will smell it
As usual,
first.
you'll smell it, and then you'll leave it on the
Cheers!
table. Cheers.
Let's see.
Okay. It smells strong. Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's good.
So good.
It's got it's got that bitter orange. Is that what it is?
Bitter orange rosemary. That actually has a great flavor.
It is tangy.
Oh, Robin's drinking more today.
I like that a lot. Oh, that's really good. Okay, this would be
That's
nice with like
amazing.
a nice seafood salad or like some
Nice
sort
with
of
anything.
I don't know. Yeah, really. I mean, just to get straight.
It'd be nice with your coffee that you're drinking.
That's fine. Yeah.
That's delicious. Kate, so we'll have to do an episode one day on Salt Spring at this cidery and try the flights. That's
okay.
really
I like
good.
that. I like that a lot.
Delicious.
I don't know about you, but I often feel like my day is regimented. So it's like one thing to the next thing, and sometimes there's barely time to breathe. I feel like a lot of people, it's like that for them, right? And I don't even have kids. Like I'll be honest with you, I don't know how you do it.
I don't have that, though.
What?
Sure that I don't.
What have I been doing wrong?
No, I make sure to not have that. My sister, she has 4 kids.
Yeah.
And when school's in and they all have their after school things and she's got all her things to do, her day usually stresses me out just by listening to it. Mm-hmm. I make really sure not to have that. So that's why lots of things don't get done on my end, because I don't like stressful days. I don't like them being one thing to the next. And so I usually just end up doing nothing.
That sounds productive as well. Okay. I don't know.
Sounds really relaxing, though.
How do you manage things though when you're feeling overwhelmed? Like what do you do?
I work best under pressure.
Okay.
So I
do you feel
crunch
like
time.
Do you procrastinate though? Or
Right till the end.
Yeah, right till
and
the
then
end.
it's
And then
crunch
you're like,
time. You're up all night. You're getting things done. And then they're done. And then you didn't have a stressful week. You only had one stressful night. So that's how I roll.
I got to start taking a page from the Chelsea Smith book. Okay, that's it.
Follow me for more tips on how to not be stressed. Just don't do it.
Just be stressed all night for like one night
for
overnight.
one night
right?
versus a week. That
makes
sounds
sense.
way better.
Thanks for your comments on the Facebook page. Brenda says, I always handwrite my to-do lists.
Mm-hmm.
Being physically able to see them makes it more tangible, which I would agree with.
And
right?
handwriting it out makes you memorize it more also.
That's a good
which
point.
Which means you don't usually need the list after.
Okay.
Charlene, she says, one thing that helps when my list is super long is to create a deadline. I invite people over if my house is a mess. Good. Me too. I tell my client I will have the project done in 2 days, etc. And then I work faster and don't want to let the other people down by falling short. It's easier to prioritize when you have a timeline that isn't just your own.
And that's kind of what
For
you're
sure,
saying.
yeah.
Right? Yeah. No, that makes
You
sense.
have a deadline. Like if I have a client coming in the morning, that you have to be ready. I just don't prepare a week before. I prepare the night before.
Anna says, I find that starting the laundry, the dishwasher, and the Roomba help to motivate me.
Yeah.
It's as if my coworkers are all busy and now it's my turn
And you
too.
feel bad sitting and watching them work. A Roomba would be amazing.
I know. Shoot. Give me that for my birthday.
Can you get me one for mine? Since we're like birthday twins?
That's true. We'll just share.
Can we share one?
We can
We'll
share. I
split
think
it.
we can. I think we can. Yeah.
Done.
Okay, good.
Perfect. Your birthday present is done. Rachel says, I always make my bed. I've heard that's a thing.
Yeah, I've heard this too, right? You should always make your bed, even if it's like
starts the day.
Even if it's the last thing you do before you go to bed at night. If you just make the bed, at least you did one thing, right?
Before you get into it and mess it up.
Yeah.
Just never makes sense to me. But anyways, even on days when I don't accomplish much else, if anything, I know that one task was complete, so the day isn't wasted. That's what Rachel said.
Exactly.
That's what she said.
Good.
Okay, that didn't make sense, but that's okay.
No, it works. I'm fine with it.
Whatever. We have Salt Spring cider and it's delicious.
That's right. Oh, and we have a guest too.
We have sampled Salt Spring cider before.
Oh.
Yes.
Have we? Good.
For our video that I did on how to take selfies.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we drank that whole bottle. I did. Now I'm remembering because it's delicious again.
Congratulations to you.
Salt Spring made it twice onto the podcast.
Sponsor us.
If you want to sponsor this episode. It's so hot in here. Okay. So today's episode is all about productivity and how to simplify your life. And go ahead. I'm too busy drinking.
We're good. Please welcome to Don't Mind If We Do, the incredible Lisa Zawrotny. She's a productivity coach and the host of the Positively Living podcast. Thanks for being here, Lisa, because as you can see, we can barely keep it together over here on this podcast.
It's my pleasure. And guess what? We're all dealing with the same stuff. And anybody who tells you differently is trying to sell you something.
Lisa, how did we even get here, though? How are we this society of, overproducers, overachievers, and yet we feel out of control? Like we're at the point where we can't even focus on what we're doing because we have so many things, so much input coming in all the time.
Seriously, thank you for asking that because
You're welcome.
That is what I'm walking around with my soapbox like, you got a minute? Can we talk about this? And I love calling myself a productivity coach and then being like, it's not what you think it is. Stop. Just take a moment and breathe. Yeah. Because then people are like, wait, no, I thought we were going to talk about the Pomodoro technique. I'm like, no, not even. I don't know what it is. We are a culture of loving this idea of being busy and putting value to this concept of being productive. That's the only thing I can come up with as kind of a, in an absolute huge nutshell, right?
I love being busy.
That we value.
I'm very rarely productive.
Yeah.
I would agree with that for Chelsea. Yeah. I would say I'm both. I'm busy but I also feel overwhelmed by many things, right? So I'm busy and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting things done and whatever. And then I'm like, okay, what did I forget to do, right? We're almost like, I feel like I'm never doing everything 100% well.
Yeah.
And that's like a really great observation is that we can be busy. And that's the distinction of busy versus productive, right? So the busy is, we're active and we're doing things, but what are we really achieving? So that's why my mantra is to do less and live more.
That's my mantra too.
We're always talking about doing more, right? Right?
Yeah. If you saw my house, you would know that's my mantra.
Chelsea just stole your mantra, okay? Just so you know. In Canada, we now have that mantra too.
Yes. Listen, slap the flag on it. It's not a problem. Take it, please, because we need to start embracing this idea of living our lives so that we're not like, I don't know, at the end of it going, what just happened? Yeah. Who's ever said, put on my epitaph, I wish I'd done more. Right.
What's an epitaph?
Oh.
Don't get Chelsea to do your epitaph, okay? Don't get Chelsea to do it.
Is that like an epilogue?
You had a chance to say what's a motto, and I could have said what's a motto you, but
damn it! Next time.
Now you got to look up epitaph in Google.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll
so
look it up.
what do we want people to say? What's our legacy, right? What do we want people to say about us? And it's not like, oh, I didn't do enough, or I wish I'd cleaned more, or whatever. No,
that probably will be mine.
It's about living.
It is.
Robin will say when I die, I really wish she cleaned more.
Yeah, I wish she had a cleaner home.
Yeah,
like that's Yeah.
Now, see, that's different. That's what Robin would say.
Yeah, and my writing on your epitaph is going to be really different than what you had hoped for. So
For
just
sure.
so you know.
I'm expecting it. So yeah, it's okay.
Tell us, though, what is it mostly women that you're seeing doing this? Is it mostly women? Is it somehow ingrained in us more so than men, or is it both sexes that you see?
Yeah, I wonder about that. I don't know if I have a precise answer, but I would say that I tend to work with women more because a big part of it is that I think we tend to take on more of that multitasking tendency, right? And as a society, whether you have kids or not, you find yourself in this position of saying, I will take care of these people and I will take care of these tasks and I will take on that list. And then on top of that, if you are, passionate about creating and doing, which are my people are the multi-passionates, the creatives, right? The things that the ones who love all the things, but hashtag all the things is not a good to-do list, right?
All the things. Nice.
Yeah, just ask me how I know. And so given that, I think there's probably more of a tendency. I can't say for sure. I am talking to more men about this because I would like to know, but I don't think there's this, hey, how do you balance life and family and all of the things? I don't see people asking men that as much as they do women. So women are probably more the ones whom I'm ready to support. And I get it, because I live it.
That makes sense. What would you say, though? I mean, say I come to you and I'm like, Lisa, I need help. I don't know how to organize myself, or I've got too many things on my plate. What do you do as a productivity coach? What happens when I come to see you?
First of all, I say, hi, I'm so happy you're here. It's all good. You're doing a great job, just
Thanks.
so you know.
I think I'm
you're
actually,
a hot mess,
I'm
but
doing a
it's
great
not.
job, too. I think I am doing a
I'll
great
pat
job.
her on the back
Thanks,
for you.
Lynn. Thanks,
job.
Lisa.
Yeah, good. Please. Yeah, pat her on the back for me. That's one of the first things I do. And then we make sure that, where our vibe works with each other, right? Because it's so important when you're working with a coach that you feel comfortable and there's a trust involved. Because honestly, when I start digging into things with you, your life, there's a lot of trust involved, and I honor that. So we have to make sure that's cool. And if it is, then we start talking about personality types and tendencies and stuff that you're like, wait, I thought we were going to talk about, which calendar to use and what my planner is. And I'm like, we'll get there. But first things first, I need to know about you. What are you passionate about? What are your values? We talk about core values and things like that. Those are all the things that come back around and create what I call the filters in our life. What we let in and what we don't, or what we double check. Because if we're letting things in that don't align with our values and don't feel right to us, there's the overwhelm, there's the frustration, there's the I'm not going to do that. I have it on my list. I keep thinking I have to do it. I should do it. There's a word.
Right?
Should. And right. So, and this is how we work together. So we discover who you are, what you want to be achieving, where you feel like there's an imbalance. And we start to break it down by understanding foundationally how you work best and what you want to do and figuring out those filters so we can then say, all right, what belongs and what doesn't. And now when you figure out what belongs, what are the things you want to do, how are you going to do them best? Because some people, case in point, you're looking at different kinds of systems. Maybe like a project management system. And some people are like, Trello is the best thing
We
ever.
hate it. We hate Trello.
It's the worst.
Thank you for proving
Oh
my
God.
point, right? So, yeah, so I'm not going to come to you and be like, you have to use Trello. I'm going to be like, what's going on? What do you like? What don't you like? What do you look at and you go completely cross-eyed? Whereas you look at something else and you go, that's my brain. That makes total sense. That's how we work. It's discovering those things because so many times people come from this, get more done, be productive, all the things with this idea of, well, we're going to try to use this specific technique, this specific product, and you can't start there. You need to start deeper. But the other thing that's going to happen too is we may talk about your frustrations with family and how they're maybe not supporting you or that you're scared of something. We talk as women about mindset and then it sounds kind of like, what is that? And it sounds very woo-y, right? But there is something to that because so much of what we go through in life informs the decisions that we make again and again. I mean, you think about it in the relationships that you build and in the choices that you make every single day, and then go, why did I make that choice? So there's a lot to unpack. And
I feel
then
like Robin
rebuild.
would talk about her co-host
That's how
and
I work.
how her co-host's messiness affects her life, I think.
I don't know. There's just a lot in
like
here.
an intervention.
There's a lot in here. You can't see it, but if I were to turn this laptop around, you'd be like,
Oh my God, this is the most empty room in the house. What are you even talking about?
But
yeah.
decluttering is a big thing, right? And that's, I mean, in order to declutter, say, a room, perhaps there are other things that we need to declutter first. Is that what I'm hearing, Lisa? I feel like that's what I'm hearing.
Oh my goodness.
It could be, yes. Now, decluttering a room is a great example. I started as a professional organizer because we can look at physical clutter and we can say, okay, yeah, this
Nothing
is in
in my
our
way.
way, right? This is, and that's the thing too. It's only clutter if it gets in between you and the life you want to be living. That's a real.
I hope you're taking notes, Chelsea. I want Chelsea to be taking notes during this.
Oh, I
part.
have extra paper on mine. Oh,
What a
that's
surprise.
what I'm taking.
Sorry, Lisa, continue.
If you had seen my house, Robin, last year, it's been
No worries.
like 99% decluttered. Has it? Yeah, my sister came, and for 6 months, we've decluttered this house. It's crazy. Stop shaking
Lisa,
your head.
can you see me shaking my head?
Stop
Okay, I was
shaking
just
your head.
Shaking my head.
I can. Yep. Robin's shaking your head, and Chelsea's like, "This is not clutter."
can say it's
So
not
I got to
clutter,
be honest. If someone says to me, "This is not
I
clutter,"
didn't say it wasn't. Okay, I
We
didn't
good.
say
I'm
it
like,
wasn't
all right,
clutter. I said it wasn't in my way. It's what I said. There's lots of stuff, but it's moved to the side. Like no one's.
I think,
tripping.
again,
You're not tripping over. it.
Chelsea's a great example, though, Lisa, of what we're talking about, where she's a busy mom. She has a busy life. She's got a great career. Other things take precedence over maybe keeping things neat and tidy, right? So this is one place in your life where something has to give.
Right. And sometimes what has to give is this notion that it has to be pristine.
Someone else to come and clean it.
Yeah, or you that is another thing too. If it matters to you and you know that it would up-level your life to handle it, and that's what I'm saying about identifying what really is clutter. If it's really getting in your way, and sometimes for a while it isn't, sometimes it totally is, you have to figure that out. And then you're absolutely right. One way you can deal with it is by delegating, by getting help, by fast tracking it with a coach. Absolutely. And that's a great example of what I do. But this idea of clutter, you need to identify, is it getting in your way? And back to your point, Robin, that this external clutter, it both affects and reflects what's going on internally. And that doesn't mean like it's a bad thing or you're doing something wrong. It can mean that you are juggling many, many other things. And if those are priorities, if those matter to you, if they are a part of who you are as a person, then so be it. We do have limits. Hi, we're human, and that's okay. So it's a matter of making those choices as you go, one step at a time, and making sure that what you're doing and how you're extended is
that's a good point.
prioritized correctly.
Doing stuff
if that
that's
makes
not
sense.
useful or purposeful. It's a waste of time.
Would you recommend that then, Lisa, in terms of if people are feeling overwhelmed, is one of the best things that you can do, maybe start to prioritize a few things, like put down on a piece of paper, like, these are my top 3 things. Everything else sort of gets funneled away for like another time. But then when do you add those other things back in so that eventually you can get all the things done that you really want to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing that I love to do in terms of feeling overwhelmed and stress, there's 2 things that can be going on. One, of course, is like the mental of what's happening, and the other could potentially be the physical, right? So with the physical, these are the points of self-care that we love to say, oh yeah, we'll get to it, but then we don't. And what's brilliant about self-care is it's not just pampering. It's about filling up your cup. It's about creating energy, because energy management, people talk about time management. I'm like, no, the time is there. We all have it. We all have the same amount of it. It's how we manage our energy to attack it. It's how we manage our priorities in terms of what we're going to attack first. It's how we manage ourselves. And self-care is going to boost up that energy, right? So given that, you can take a moment to Oh God, napping is my favorite. I love napping. And I mean 10 minutes, or I mean, even if you're like, I can only spare 5, if you really feel that strapped and you just lie down and calmly breathe for 5 minutes, and I'm not talking about scrolling on your phone, taking a deep breath. Let's do that right now. Just inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Ready? Inhale. Exhale through your mouth.
Blowing. Chelsea's breathing on me. I
Blowing.
Yeah,
I exhaled into Robin's mouth.
Shake it out. Okay, see, that's not
It's
relaxing.
100 degrees in here.
It's a lot over here, Lisa. Okay?
Fair enough. So, all right, so maybe
Hold it
not
in.
as much exhaling.
Inhale
but,
and hold it.
but, you know, another great one, and you guys bring this to everyone, is laughing. So those are some things that you can do from the physical stress side. But to the point about, okay, we're overwhelmed, we have so many things to do, I highly recommend doing a brain, like a mind sweep, a brain dump, whatever you want to call it. David Allen, who has the system Getting Things Done, I do take some ideas from him that are absolutely key, and one of them is get it out of your head. Don't try to hold it in your head. Remembering all that stuff. That's so much stress. That's so much, I'm going to forget it. And then it takes you out of the moment. You can't be as mindful and present and, you know, as accurate in what you're doing if you're trying to remember other things. So a 5-minute brain dump, and I even have a worksheet for free on my website I call the focus file, because I'm obsessed with alliteration. And it's really just to let you focus. You take 5 minutes to take everything that's getting your attention out of your brain and down on paper. Now, that is the first step. That is not your to-do list. It is your to-choose list. So getting back to the point that you said about, okay, now we're prioritizing and we're setting the other stuff aside. I would say even first, this is where the decluttering comes in. Now you're decluttering on a to-do list, not just decluttering your closet, right? You're saying, okay, these are all the things that I have in my brain that I have to do. Do I really? Do they really belong? Did I think they did? Did I think it 2 months ago and it's still on my list and it's going and going? Or maybe now I'm like, what was I thinking? It's like the shirt in the closet with the tag still on it that I thought was awesome when I bought it. Anyone? Just me? Okay.
No, I have lots. Yeah, lots.
Everyone.
Full closet.
Right. All of us.
Yeah.
So same idea with those to-do list items. So you can get rid of some, truly, you can let go of them, but some of them may be, okay, that's a not right now. You love all the things, but it doesn't make sense right now. It can not make sense right now because you're not ready for it. It cannot make sense right now because you don't have the bandwidth for it. You need to know what your own limits are. The same thing in professional organizing. I talk about limits, like you have a closet, a certain size that will hold a certain number of things. Well, that's the same thing for you as a person
You
with
also
your
have
energy.
floor space, though, and then chairs that are in the room as well that hold clothes.
And you have other
Dressers.
people's closets,
Yes.
and you also
hallways and bedrooms.
If you could see this place, Lisa, you would know what she's talking about.
So
You are throwing me under the bus
I sure
today,
am.
and I got run over.
Lisa's here. She's here to help me.
I'm actually talking to you under the bus right now. Hi, Chelsea. Do you need a beverage?
I have one always. Thanks.
You know what, though? Chelsea's been brain dumping while you were talking. I don't know. I just saw
I'm
you
brain
writing some
dumping.
stuff.
I'm writing
Stop.
notes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
taking
good.
notes.
Yeah, good.
They're for you for later.
Oh, no.
Oh, I take notes all the time when I'm with a guest on my podcast, because I want to take it and immediately make a note for later so that I can stay in the moment and have the conversation. So I love the note taking.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah, the idea of getting it out of your head, realizing that it's not a to-do list, it's a to-choose list, and then using these different filters. What's going on in your life right now? What are you prioritizing? What matters? And, I'll tell you, as an example, as a mom, I've had to shift like crazy. We've had a pandemic and kids have been, schooling from home, and then they were going to school partly, but not. There was so much to track and to take care of. And then also their hearts and their minds. This was a rough year for them. Mm-hmm. And the minute that happens, I love what I do. I'm present for my clients, but my kids, I'm going to drop everything,
Yeah,
right?
they're first.
So the more that I can simplify what I'm doing, have systems that work for me, automate things, keep a lot of open space, buffer time in between appointments, the easier it is for me to have that flexibility and to be present and to schedule myself in such a way that I can be there for them, especially when they need it. So you see how I'm making choices based on my priorities and then adjusting how much I do and when I do it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's perfect. How old are your kids?
They are, I have a newly minted teenager, 13 in January, and I have one coming up on 11.
Nice.
And
Preteen.
don't tell anyone, but she will be receiving her letter to Hogwarts. So.
Yes.
Nice.
That's a great. She's going to be so happy.
I think so. I want my letter. I'm still waiting. I'm a little older than that, but I'm still waiting.
Oh, that's awesome. Lisa, this is so great. Now, tell me this. Like sometimes when we have more to do, the more things that we take on or we have to do, the less we actually get done. Why does this happen? It's almost like, and I don't know if either of you have experienced this, but the more overloaded I am, if something else comes in, it's like my brain slows down. Like it's almost not functioning at the level that it needs to anymore, right?
It's like
not,
Netflix.
Yeah.
Fix and
like
chill.
Netflix with a glitch. It's like sometimes this podcast, okay?
Are you still watching?
My brain is constantly asking me, "Are you still watching?" So, oh my gosh, that's a great metaphor. I'm totally going to use this.
So good.
But it's so true, and it goes back to that overwhelm that we talked about. You're trying to keep things in your brain. More stuff is coming in, but I think maybe also we could describe this as a stress response because you're already like, I already have a list a mile long of shit I didn't get done. I hope I can say that. But
Just say it. Say it
You
again.
just did. Great. Now you're a bad influence on the podcast, Lisa. Okay, just so you know.
Now we have to put the kid warning, the kid sensor on now.
We do have a kid sensor warning.
We do have
Exactly.
one, and we're putting it on. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah. So it really is, though. It feels like that, though, right? You're so overwhelmed. And that's true. When I get overwhelmed, then suddenly, normally I don't swear, but when I get overwhelmed and I'm just like, I've had it, then that comes out. And when you're feeling that way, that's a stress response. And you actually, your body will slow down. Here's a great metaphor. When you have the electric goes out, okay, so your power is gone and you have the generator, and that is not going to cover everything in your house, right? It's only going to cover the bare necessities. And in a stress response, that's that same idea. There's so many things that are going to be shut down. And I think that our productivity, our perceived productivity, our ability to handle so much of what's coming at us, especially when it's a barrage, it's absolutely going to be reduced. And that's why I'm such a proponent of how about we simplify like crazy, almost to the point where during a normal scenario, we feel like, wow, there's a lot of space here. Are we sure we're good? Because you are creating.
Just taking a picture of you.
I'm taking a photo of you, Lisa. Just
see that.
don't be alarmed. Pretend it's not happening.
Robin likes to make things awkward.
I do.
She just
I
made
love
it awkward.
Yeah, good.
I live for awkward.
My job is to make things awkward. Okay, Lisa, that's actually what I do for a job. This is my living. Okay. Yeah.
Doing it, I love that. Doing it, or at the very least, do it like
Right?
it's your job.
Absolutely.
That's what I say. So yeah, where were we? The idea that the stress response is going to shut down, and so I love the idea of how about we set up your life and your systems and your calendar and everything that you're doing in such a way that there's so much openness that you can handle that when something comes in. It's not going to be as much of a stress response because you know what to do with it. And I think too, that so many times when something comes at us, our first instinct is to be like, okay, I have to do that now. Does that feel accurate? Right. And when you learn the proper systems for you, you can learn how to be like, okay, thank you so much for sending that into my life. Like I needed something else to do. I know exactly what to do with that. And you have a trusted system and a safe place to put it, to set reminders and to decide when it will get done. And I would say that as a tip for those who are inclined to take something in and want to do it right away, inclined to people please, to say yes, if that's an instinct, which is wonderful. It comes from the best place in your heart. But if you are struggling with that because every time you do that, it piles more on, it gets overwhelming, try this one tip. When someone asks you for something, say, let me get back to you.
Nice.
You don't have to
Mind
say no.
blown, Robin.
Mind
Mic
blown.
drop. Mic
Yeah.
drop.
Right?
Yep.
And it applies in every situation. Just let me get back to you. It gives you a minute to step away, to take a breath, to not have that knee-jerk response of, yes, sure, absolutely, I will do it all. And it lets you figure out what you're saying yes to, because when you say yes to something, you are saying no to many other things. Make sure that it's not saying no to you and the things that you need.
This is great advice.
Right?
I'm taking notes still.
Yeah.
Good.
Lisa, let me get back to you on
Yes.
something a little bit. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, sure.
So what about
I love it.
if you are working with somebody who does better when they're super busy and then drops the balls and then sucks when they're like a little bit busy? Does that make sense? Or are we all confused now?
Okay. So there's a bunch of things going on here. How much time?
We've got
do we
like
have?
5 hours left. Yeah.
Yeah, being super busy. Yeah, you know about that.
Do you want to get back to us, Lisa? You want to get back to us?
Take a
It's fine.
second to think about it.
let me get
We'll
back
just
to
hang
you.
on. We'll just
Let
hang
me
on.
get back to you.
Get back to us.
Just hang on. Yeah. Hold, please.
And a moment for the break. We'll take a break now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a few things that, like, if I were coaching someone like this, I would want to find out a bit more of the why. What is it about being busy? What's happening there? Now, sometimes, don't want to be alarmist, but I need to put it out there, and I think it's
it out
important
there.
to talk about that. Trying to be ultra productive can indicate it can be indicative of trauma. It can be indicative of outward, like, how do I say this? When you have like outward pressure from those, anyone basically other than yourself, when you're not going internally to check in and say, do I need to do this? You're having, outside pressure to do things. And my first instinct, especially as a coach and also because I'm naturally a questioner, would be to ask why. Why are you doing this? Why do you need this? Do you like to keep busy because in the quiet, your mind goes crazy, And I don't mean that in like a therapeutic
that's
way.
true.
I just, mean that,
Yeah.
right? But it's for, sometimes people say, oh, I struggle to meditate or to be quiet or to rest because I'm constantly feeling the guilt. I want to be doing something. So I think that's important to unpack all of those things. Once you've unpacked those and you've identified what's happening, you can decide what to do from there. I mean, there's so many potential things that could be happening. If it's a matter of saying, I like to be going, I like to be active, then maybe it's a matter of saying, okay, maybe we don't have quite so many things on your list that you're trying to do all at once, but we make those things more interesting, more fun, more active for you so that they feed this need. Remember that whatever habit we have is giving us a reward of some kind, even if we consider it a, quote, bad habit, it's rewarding us in some
Like
way.
shopping.
So we have to figure out what that reward is. And then maybe we can find a healthier way, right?
Shopping.
Well, it's not funny. That's true.
It's funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
There's the phrase retail
Exactly.
therapy for a
I didn't
reason,
make
right?
it up.
And if you're trying not to have stuff, but you love retail therapy, then, some of my favorite ways to have retail therapy without ending up with the items is window shopping, helping other people shop when they need something, creating a Pinterest board, designing things, figuring out what I want to replace. So I have the something in, something
I
out.
tried to do
kind of
that. That's
thing,
hard.
Right? So there's lots of ways you can still have that enjoyment without necessarily having
Stuff.
the
clutter. Let's say
Yeah.
clutter.
Yeah.
Robin would
Exactly.
say clutter.
I would say clutter.
Yeah.
That's
say
me.
clutter.
You know, not everyone would, but I would. Okay, that's all. Yeah. I'll get back
It's a
to you
thing
later
Robin would
about
say.
that. Okay, so you guys just hang
Like
on.
the fact there's
Yeah.
2 computers in here. Probably only needed to be 1, but
There's a lot. That's all. It's okay.
some stuff.
It's fine.
Whatever.
You know who can help you? Lisa.
Hey, do you know someone that can help me? Lisa.
Really? Are there people that do this?
I think
That's a
you need
thing?
a coaching session with Lisa. That's what I think you need.
So Lisa and I were talking
awesome.
a couple days ago about, I was just explaining to her the difference between you and I and our houses, and how we live is different. Like my house is not disgusting.
No,
like it's
I
not,
don't
there's
think it
no
is either.
rats and cockroaches climbing up the walls. And don't say yet, that would just be rude.
I'll get back to you.
But our houses are different. Yours is like not cluttered and it's always clean. Mine is not, and that's fine. And so I was telling her about that, and she's like, "Oh, this could be another episode of the podcast. This could be something else that's fun."
Yes. Analyzing us based on our homes. Lisa, can you do this? Yes. That's hilarious.
She's already analyzed both of us.
Yeah. I feel like, but we
Yeah.
could actually send you some photos,
could.
and then you could maybe break it down and tell us more about our personalities
Yeah.
based on our homes. Is
And
that
I
something
can tell
do?
you that the photos of my house are actually Robin's house.
Okay.
And she can take mine.
That would be super fun. Yeah, I just recently coached a team, 2 VAs that work together, and they're decidedly different. So I think what I'd be more interested in is having some of these personality tests that I have my clients take, and having you take them and being like, okay, what's
It'd be so
going on
funny.
here? And how you, and there's probably a significant balance that you have. And so there's something to be said for having the differences. You know what I mean? And you can frequently find compliments, and especially in terms of, what you're trying to produce and what you're trying to create. So
Yeah, Chelsea's extremely creative, and I think with creativity sometimes comes chaos, right?
a
Like
mess.
that's not a mess; it's just chaos, right? So and that you actually create really well in that kind of an environment. Whereas for me, I need order. I need things to be where they are, so I know how to find
We've
them.
talked about this before. I like order.
Oh,
It's not
you
that
should
I
live at my
don't.
house.
Remember, that was our first episode. You invited me to live at your house with somebody else, I think, and Dietrich too.
the solution was right there all along.
Right there, like 11 weeks ago,
Yeah.
she invited me.
She
to
didn't
move
take
in.
it, and now I'll get back to you on it. Okay.
I feel like you would have kicked me out instantly once I left dishes on the counter or something.
Oh my gosh. Well, Lisa, we can't wait to have you on again here at Don't Mind If We Do, because obviously that's going to be happening.
I
So
think
thanks
so,
for
yeah.
analyzing us in advance.
Don't mind if I do.
Don't mind if you do. We don't mind. Okay.
We don't mind if you do
Yeah,
it
we'll
all.
get back to you, and we don't mind. Okay. But positivelyproductive.com is where you can find Lisa if you'd like to book a coaching session. And that's also where you'll find her Positively Living podcast. Tell us more about that, Lisa. What kind of topics can we
Yeah,
find
we want to
on
hear about your podcast.
Thank you so much for asking. We are, I'm sorry, I'm distracted by
my
a
dog?
pet you have. Oh,
I'm just
hi,
petting
cutie.
Do
myself.
you want to get back to us?
This is
I'd like to get
Madeline.
now.
That's
Oh,
Madeline.
hi. Okay. Yeah, that just makes me so happy. All right. We're pausing for a pet break. Okay, and we're back.
You pause.
So-
And we're back.
PAWSED.
This episode is sponsored by Madeline, the dog.
That's right. It was pausing, PAW.
Ooh, good
Yes,
one. That's
yeah,
a dad
exactly.
joke. That was a
It
dad
was
joke.
so a dad joke.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
love
was.
the dad jokes. Okay, so the
Okay,
Positively
focus.
Living podcast. It's so much of the stuff we have been talking about already today. And, it's this idea that we really need to dig deep and create a proper foundation for productivity, that we need to redefine productivity and stop thinking about it as doing more and being busy, but rather doing less and living more. And the topics really touch upon all of these things. So there's a set of foundational topics. There's a wonderful episode, and it's my number one downloaded episode, and it's on trauma-informed life and understanding this idea. Trauma sounds so scary. It's not. It's what we go through as humans, and understanding that better, understanding ourselves, number one productivity tool. So things like that, authenticity, change, fear, you name it. Lots of episodes on that. There's lots of episodes on organizing, meal planning, capsule wardrobes, all kinds of interesting things for your day-to-day, case studies, business coaches to help you run your business better, especially if you're multi-passionate. And I've also just recently added coaching. So I can do a 30-minute productivity boost with someone on air.
That's
and
amazing.
that has been
you're coaching
as well.
on your podcast.
I'm coaching
that's
on the
so fun.
podcast.
That's awesome. That would be perfect for someone that's on this podcast.
Stop looking
right
at
now.
me.
I don't know. I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you if I want to be coached on
Don't
the
mind
podcast.
if you do. Okay.
That's your favorite one from today.
It is her
So and it's just all kinds of episodes that relate to that, to us as humans trying to balance it all and realizing that it's more about finding harmony in it.
Fun. How long have you had your podcast?
It's been a little over a year, and I am loving every minute of it. I just published my 60th episode as of this recording today, and it is in the top 5% of Listen Notes podcasts worldwide. So.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So everyone who's listening today, go check it out for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. Again, Lisa Zawrotny. I'm saying that correct, right, Lisa? I checked
You
before. but
are.
Am I still saying it right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're so good.
Let me get back to you.
So good.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm okay. Lisa, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank
We're going to
you.
check out your podcast for sure, and definitely do get back to us and let us know when we can join you again.
When Robin can get coached on your podcast.
Thank you so
Can you
much.
hear
Oh my
me?
gosh, this is such a pleasure. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it. We are all complete women. Just a shout out to your episode. I loved that.
Oh, yay.
And right. And yeah, this is good. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for letting me
Next
join.
time we see you might be in person because I love New York. It's my favorite place. So,
Wine country. Come on.
yeah, it's amazing. So I'll look you up next time. Next time I'm
Sounds
there.
good.
when she comes for her coaching session.
Yeah, for my it'll be in person. I can do
I
that.
like that.
Yeah, that's better.
Thanks, Lisa. You're the
Okay,
best.
thank you. Have a great day. We'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Don't Mind If We Do is brought to you by Vintage Chic Portrait, helping everyday women feel beautiful in their own skin.
Thanks for listening to Don't Mind If We Do. If you loved it, please share this episode with a friend and follow us and check us out on Facebook, and we'll follow you back. As long as you don't mind if we do.
You probably won't mind. You'll probably like it.